Hey everybody, we're here for a new episode of RLG Cast where we will be reviewing the new show Fallout from Amazon Prime. I'm here with Putty the Putty Man. He loves Deadpool's dick. I'm also here with
Oh,
JD the JD Man.
oh.
He loves donuts. Normal. I mean, actually, you're normal too. That's allowed. But
Yeah.
whoa, censoring. That's uncalled for.
That's the censor
So
bar he
we're gonna
has
be
right
talking
there.
about Follow here and not listening to anything Putty's saying. He will be muted for this entirety of this video. You're going to get a review with a score, and then we'll go into some spoiler talk. We will try not to drag it out. If you want to see a full comprehensive podcast like talk about, which will be on Putty's channel, I'll link it in the description below. And we're just going to jump into this. JD, tell us what tell us what this show is about.
So this show is based on the video game franchise Fallout. It is the story of a vault dweller who, like every Fallout story, has to go out looking for a family member almost, or at least the Bethesda versions of Fallout, has to go out looking for a family member and has to deal with the trials and tribulations of being locked inside of a vault and not experiencing the outside world and seeing it for the first time and seeing what really happened after a nuclear holocaust.
Well, that was a very good
Wow, that
description,
was good.
actually. I was not
All
expecting it to be
right.
that good. All right. Well, you've
I
blown
play a
all our
lot of Fallout
expectations.
games. I'm
You've blown the
I'm a big fan of
expectations
the
out of the
series.
water here. Expectations out of the water are blown. Um, not like what Putty's blowing, but
Smoke up your ass?
hey, dead pool water
Haha.
blowing
But
the
in
water
Fallout, don't
Wow.
out
drink
of
the
the
water because
pool.
it's radiated.
That's true,
Which
unless you
is
have
same thing
Radaway.
as with his same thing could be for this too. You know what
Whoa.
I'm saying? It is cancerous. But anyway, go ahead.
It's true. It actually is. He does look like a topographical map of.
I forgot.
Hey, well,
I
I'm
know
glad you're the big
that.
Deadpool guy. So we'll just move
I
on
totally just
here.
went blank on it too. That's the funny part. I just went blank on the state.
Hey,
Anyway, go ahead.
was TJ Miller in the second one?
Yes, he
Yeah.
was. Briefly, but yes.
I don't even
Yes, he was.
remember it.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Do you,
It was in the almost the beginning.
do you think Peter's coming back for this one?
Yeah. Well, he's in the trailer.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's in the beginning
Dude,
part.
like
The
this that trailer's so
party.
good. Hey, you want to hear us talk about that trailer? It's on Putty's channel. Put a link in the
hmm
description. Eventually, because I don't know when we're posting any of this, so hopefully it will hopefully it will line up. Anyways, non-spoilery. This show is so different than any property I think we've seen, at least in the last little while, in terms of being based on a video game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't follow the narrative of a video game, rather it takes place in the world of a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really smart. Whereas, like, not to say it was bad, I still haven't finished it because I 1 hour long shows to me are just like this mind bender of a
This
thing.
was nice. It was between a 30 and a 35 to 40
Now the
minutes.
first two episodes are over an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But The Last of Us, where it like really sticks to the story of the game with like a little bit
Yeah.
of extra backstory. It was nice that this one is like doing its own thing, and I think it gives it a lot of room to grow by doing that. You don't hold
But,
yourself into being forced
Yeah.
to do something.
While
but
still
they
being
have
faithful to the lore and the world that's
exactly.
created.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's easy to understand, especially if they're not trying to go back and do the same thing over and over again. I mean, as long as we get the same core story arc or type, I should say, as far as what makes Fallout so great, when they realize, okay, this is why they love it, the story, the way the battles are, the way everything is, as far as even when the story driven small or big in the game, they understand that. To when they apply it into the show, even the hardcore fans are like, "Oh, they did that. That's amazing." But then while the regular fans are just like, "This is an amazing show. That's great and has a bunch of lore backed up into it, and we want to know this lore." So it gives them opportunity to actually learn the lore of the actual game if they wanted to, and small implements, Easter eggs that people can get into. But at the same time, giving the fans what they want, a new story, but that is still set in the same world that we so love in the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, because a lot of times shows and movies based on video games miss the point. Like Assassin's Creed, I've always been a fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, but that movie missed the mark. Was that the peachy
I
keen
still
flavor?
think
That thing's amazing.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually not seen the movie and I own it. Remember you guys, I started watching it and you guys told me it was bad. I actually got to the point where he enters in, I think it's like a second time or is it like
What are
the
we
first,
talking about?
Assassin's Creed. I know
Yeah,
we
don't
got off
bother.
the topic. But my point is I haven't seen that yet, the rest of it yet, and I own the copy with the digital DVD and
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
it's not like the worst, but it's not worth watching, especially when it's a movie that could have easily, like, the plot point of Assassin's Creed is so simple and smart and easy
Do
to do, and yet somehow they still goofed it up.
Yeah,
Uncharted, I actually liked Uncharted.
yeah,
If we're talking
Uncharted
about
was
it, I
actually
thought it was
pretty good.
fun. It's nothing
yeah.
special.
But see
Uh,
but going back to Fallout, I mean, I feel like Fallout understood what the assignment was,
and the
and it's
fact that
like,
they're not trying to hold themselves to being a game and just
mhm.
existing in the world in a different time, in a different everything, while
Hmm.
loosely connecting to stuff is really smart.
Multiverse.
Uh,
Multiverse.
which actually, now I want to say this right now. If we ever get this later in the later seasons, I'm dropping this, and I wish we would put this in my video now that I think about it. I would love if, when we talked about the other stuff about the outside world, I'm just throwing this in there. I would love if they're playing the Fallout video game based on the events that happen in that pothole or
So
what
they
they
made a
heard.
video game in Fallout about the Fallout events.
Yeah, exactly. But in the outskirts
That's not a
part,
terrible idea.
you know what I mean? Like we were talking about before. But go to, yeah. Anyway, that's sidetracking. But yeah, that's my whole point. Is like that it's appreciation to it, and the acting in this is like phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah,
for the
Walton
'90s.
Goggins is great. Ella Purnell, she's fantastic in this as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I think Walton Goggins is like on a next level. Kyle McLaughlin
Hmm.
is
yeah.
so good that which we'll get to. There's a scene towards the end and he drops like a monologue and then like fucks off. It's
Hmm.
just so well done. I was like, "Oh, please don't kill him right now." Um
Right.
these are not spoilers. You don't have to worry. The acting throughout the whole thing is really well done. It's really good character arcs too. Like everyone actually develops as a character, and
Even her brother, who we thought was going to be like nothing in the show, ends up being like somebody kind of important.
But see, I will say with that one, I've been. We'll get into that later because Campo, you kind of mentioned this on my video too. Um, the problem is he's such a great character, but then his arc kind of goes downhill basically. So it's like it, I feel like it kind of hurt that character in a lot of ways as
his
far as
it's
that
not
sort
the
of.
arc that goes downhill. It's
The story.
I don't want to get to that yet until there we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
talk spoilers. But I just think there are issues. I think the show has really good mysteries, and I think there's really good build up to get where it's going. It doesn't always follow through. I would say a
Yeah.
majority of the time it fails to follow through on what the mysteries outcomes are. I think the telling of the backstories was done so smart because JD said it in the other video. It's stuff that we didn't even know about the games that we're finding out through the show because everything's
Hmm.
canon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that was like super smart. There's so many things explained that make no sense in the game that you just accept for what they
Yeah.
are. We got the small introductions to certain things, which leaves room to get more introductions to things later.
Hmm.
There's so much world to explore, and there's
Yeah.
so much opportunity to grow.
Because technically in the games and even the show now, they've only either taken place on the southwest coast in California, Nevada, or they've taken place in the Northeast, Washington, Boston, right? So there's, and Fallout 76 kind of delves into your neck of the woods, the Carolinas and all that.
Yeah, yeah. Which I haven't played, which I need to play now that I know that because it'd be fun to find stuff that might be related to the Carolinas in that
Maybe you'll
area too.
find
You know?
Edge
Yeah, right.
or
Maybe, yeah,
FTR.
exactly.
That'd be
The
wicked if
remains.
there's like a Ric Flair reference somewhere,
Right?
like a
But
Woo.
there
But
are like, for example, like the cryptids thing about the Carolinas. You know, Carolinas has a lot of like the cryptids, like the was it the Mothman or something?
No,
oh
that's in
yeah, oh
Virginia.
well, not the Mothman, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
they
can't
do
think.
make references to that in the game.
See, then I'm gonna have to play it. I think 76 might have been a next purchase just for the
It's probably
casual
dirt
time.
cheap.
Game Pass, it's
Yeah, I
free.
know. Yeah. Oh, I'm not Game Pass anymore because
Anywho,
yeah,
Yes.
I sidetracked.
really well made show. We're gonna go into spoilers. We won't really stick around here for too much. I think just the action's good. Visually, it looks nice. Some of the CGI is a little bit wonky, but given like what the show is, I didn't really care. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there was a lot of times when the um the knights interact with things with their hands, it looks really stupid.
Yeah.
But other
Oh,
than
I
that,
guess
like
yeah.
that seems it's fine. It's bloody, and it's not. It's bloody. It's violent. It's vulgar, but not to the point of going too far where like the boys goes and it just becomes like this like edgelord fest of like he said this and yeah,
But
let's
see, even the
sex.
bloody and the dismemberment, that's an option in the games. That's the bloody mess perk.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of smart things like the nods to sex a lot of times because she comes from a place where you're polite about stuff like that,
Hmm.
and he's from a place where they don't have sex. So
Right.
they're both like caught off guard where she's like, if I just ask, anyone's gonna want to have sex with me. And he comes from a
Yeah.
place where they don't do that. So it was like to see the two clash, because at first you're like, whoa, what the hell's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's, like I said in the intro, she's naive to that world, right?
Yeah,
So
right. Well, and
But that's what
she's just from a place where you just say, hey, I want to have sex, and people go, okay.
okay.
that's the weird thing and also great thing about the story is because I remember when I first played Fallout in general, the whole setting of the whole like old what was it, 60s, like the whole 60s, was it 60s, 70s, I can't remember, or
It's like
50s, I can't.
late 50s.
It's
Yeah,
so the way the world works is after World War II, instead of giving up nuclear fusion energy, they embraced it. So that's why the aesthetic in the future still looks like it's in the 50s, but they have a lot of modern amenities like robots and stuff like that, right?
yeah.
So
Well,
that's why even in the games you still see radios being powered, you see
mhm.
television still have powers because the nuclear fusion energy keeps it going because it's got a half-life of how many millions of years?
Yeah, and see that, but that's also like what makes it so great is a lot of things want to change that just to make sure it appeals to people. They kept that, but the way they kept it is just like even the little things like Pip Boy being a spokesperson for Vault Tech and everything. The way they did it in the games, it's going to be so easy to transition that over here. And even the little things we've seen, but there wasn't much. I mean, that I think it was that little training video they showed real quick and everything. But even later on, we get more like that. Even with the with the on the wrist and everything, they're all going to be so. I feel like going to be integrated so well because they didn't make it overpowered in this first season, but I feel like it's enough for people to be like, "Ooh, I'm curious more about these things." You know what I
I feel
mean?
like they're
Yeah.
gonna find a society at some point that they haven't discovered in game where it's modern, like our type of modern. Because if you look at their stuff, yeah, they have a lot of technology and stuff, but none of it is like fast or high quality. It's all like still like DOS on the computer, or like
Yeah, yeah.
the Pip Boys are like not color screens and stuff like that, and they're like slow paced. They don't do much. They don't have a lot of things they could do. They open
Yeah.
doors and stuff. Um, so I think that's gonna happen. Anyways, let's go through this. Putty, tell me a score.
I'm actually giving this a 9 out of 10.
All right, JD, tell me a score.
I'm pretty high up there too. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10 too. I think it's one of the better shows in the last couple of years, that's for sure. Not named Shogun, because Shogun is, if no one has seen Shogun yet, that is like maybe the best show I've watched since
Mm-hmm.
season 3 of Game of Thrones.
I guess I'm watching it tonight then.
Shogun is fantastic. Have they finished it yet or no?
Yeah, the last episode was this week or last
Okay,
week.
because I'm about 3 episodes behind. So
Yeah,
okay.
it's episode 10 is the last one, I think.
Okay, yeah, I'm up to like 6 or something like that.
Yeah, I
Isn't
think
that on
mine's
Disney
8
Plus? Where
or
was the show?
9.
Hmm.
Where was it?
It's on
Disney.
Disney
Plus,
Plus.
right?
It's on Hulu.
Okay. Well, yeah. Now they've integrated it again. It's happened on our end, so we now have Hulu as our
It's
Disney.
so funny because they're announcing it like on IGN and stuff, and I'm like, I every time they do, I comment right away. I'm like, we've had this in Canada for 5 years. Like we've had Stars or Star and Hulu on Disney for so long that it's
Yeah,
crazy
Yeah.
that other people didn't.
pretty much
Well, like I
since
Anyways,
said,
launch.
yeah.
spoilers. Let's talk
Spoilers.
spoilers.
Okay, so I wanted to say this. Okay, um, for example, there's things in there like, for example, the robot that she finds in the
The
vault.
Mr.
You know what I mean?
Handy. They
Yeah,
called
the
him
Mr.
Snip
Handy.
Snip.
I love that we got those kind of references, but they weren't forced upon us. So it's one of those things where it's like they understood one other thing when it comes to Easter eggs in movies. When you overpower it, it becomes just monotony. It's fun to find it, but it doesn't drive the story. They did it so perfectly in this show that I'm
Because
like,
it's
there's
part of
not.
the lore, so it needs to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But like they did it in a way that really makes sense to things that it's like, crap, why is it no one else can get this that right and everything? And there's all we're going to get into a lot of that when it comes to spoiler reviews. That's why I wanted to point out just that in general because I was so amazed watching this. I binged it and it took so long because there's so many hours. I was excited that night because that's why that was actually on 420 when I watched it, and I live streamed 420, but then got so bored after an hour into it and said, "Dude, I'm gonna go back and watch more Fallout. I'm sorry, guys. I want to enjoy my 420," and I went back, and that's my whole point is that show just pulls you in knowing that it's giving you a good storyline but doesn't force the lore down you. But the lore they do force you, it's just so amazing.
I
I
think
mean,
the lore and the backstory of the show is the reason of what pulled me in because what was happening in the future in the at least for the first 4 episodes to me wasn't very interesting. It was more like the mystery of the backstory and like we were talking about. So what they're teaching you or they're giving you the information with the brother. Like I really liked that. I thought that was such a high quality backstory, and it was something you're not expecting because you don't really start catching on to that until like episode 3 and like towards the end that there's like some
mhm.
Yeah.
kind of mystery happening, and then the mystery builds, but it really didn't pay off. Like it, it it also feels like pretty ridiculous that this old woman is like so smart and like conniving and powerful that she's like pulling all this stuff off because like okay yeah she's a manager or whatever, she was somebody's secretary in the flashbacks, she wasn't even
Yes.
like
Yeah.
a manager. So like the fact that you froze her for this thing and made her like a high ranking manager thing doesn't make any sense.
But
That's
she
one
is
But
thing that
Blind Al though in
that's
Deadpool.
true.
yeah, but I'll bring up this, and there's nothing I'll bring up too. I think that's something also that we're going to go back to. I feel like this vault is a major part of the storyline, even for later seasons. I'm hoping we don't stick to it too long, because I feel like that's going to be a bad thing if you do that. But I feel like that's why we haven't got anything because they're saving that for later. Because here's the thing: you brought up one other thing in my video and earlier. Well, actually, having this, the Ghoul character is so great. And the one thing I enjoyed was we were talking about the backstories when they show his backstory, and you know what I mean, him doing lines and everything for that kid's birthday party, and he has
The
his
fact
daughter
that
there.
he's the inspiration for Vault Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Those little things are so great. But what makes it so great about that is you got to remember when we played the games or anything. Remember in Fallout 4 when we're actually in that time frame before the explosion and the guy meets you. You have the robots. You have everything that's in there. You know what I mean? That moment and that scene made me feel like what I felt like when I was playing those parts of the games. You know what I mean? And it made me go, oh, I hope that other people are feeling the same thing I am, not knowing the game, because this is a heartwarming story, but it also tells you how the world was set up prior. So when you look back on it, it's a lot easier to absorb, I feel. And Ghoul is like a perfect offset. It's like that bright, colorful, 50s aesthetic with robots and everything, and life is just great to what Ghoul has become, where he's just this murderous half of the good hero character he was in that beginning flashback, and that balance between that good and bad and going backwards and forwards. It's such a compelling story because it's not based on anything he did wrong, just being a good person. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think okay, so I think what's going to happen in season 2, pure speculation, but I'm going to be right. Um, is that they're going to go back to the vault. That's going to be one side of the story, and then the other storyline is going to be Titus becoming like the leader of the
The
Brotherhood
Brotherhood.
and like having a side storyline with another evil faction that's trying to stop the Brotherhood, and
The
he's
Enclave, maybe?
maybe that could be what it is. So that's going to be
mhm.
part of it. And that storyline probably won't complete. That's going to leave open ended into like a third season. And Lucy and the Ghoul are going to go back to the vault, and it's going to be like a situation where they're going to make you feel like she's going back to the vault for good, but they're going to get in there, and it's just going to be like a slow motion Zack Snyder kill fest where she's going to kill every single person and take the people that she likes with her. And then the Ghoul's going to go get his wife and his kid back because they're
But
going to
so
be
that could,
frozen in the thing probably.
well, that's what I was thinking too.
And then
That's
they're
the other
going to
thing.
blow up those vaults, and it's going to
Hmm.
end with them just blowing it up and
Well, like
moving on to new things.
Well, yeah, and I see that, but I feel like the goal situation is there when they go back there, because you remember he said he was looking for his wife. We still have to see the older daughter too, because she's got to be older now by that point and everything. I'm thinking, you know what I mean?
Well, she would have been
So,
frozen.
well, yeah, that's true. But
She
well,
could
yeah,
still
yeah,
But
be
sorry.
see,
young.
that's the thing. She would, I don't know if she would have been frozen. We're definitely going to get his wife because we see the scene where they're running away from the bombs.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
And
he's
clearly we
also
know
not
he,
Gould at that point.
no, but we clearly know he doesn't make it.
Yeah,
So
but
what
maybe
happened to
he
his
doesn't make
daughter?
it because she gives her the last spot that was supposed to be for him.
Okay.
Maybe he finds out this is like this is part of this lore, right? He's gonna find out that the spot was never for her. The daughter was never meant to be frozen. It was only supposed to be
Hmm.
those two.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I don't know. It could be something like that, but I feel like the storyline is going to revolve around mostly that. It's going to be mostly a connector season to get from 1 to 3. That's
Yeah.
just going to tie up loose ends for now until
Yeah.
we get like
And
the
then
main
maybe,
Which
story.
maybe, like you said in Putty's video too, we could get an introduction to the Institute as well, because you're saying that Moldaver may be a synth.
Yeah, which would a lot of people are saying that, right? IGN's the one that broke the theory, so
well, see, another thing is if they do it that way and go to season 2 to season 3 to wrap up their stories, that also means season 2 they can introduce characters that are compelling from other vaults as well. Like I talked about earlier, they could bring in characters that way or characters that are already out in the outside that could have their own storylines connected to other alliances and everything. You know what I mean? Which also could lead to New Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Like we could even see one of those pompadour, the hair guys. We could see one of them joining it, and people are like, I don't understand this character, but as a Fallout fan, be like, oh, he's probably one of the characters that were in
We
that
do
gang.
get it a little bit when you see that round table when there's discussing about what they can do with the vaults and how they can invest money in the vaults.
Oh, did they show one there? I didn't see it.
Yeah, in that scene, you get the Mr. House who owns the Lucky 38 casino, the one in Fallout New
Oh
Vegas where you
yeah.
have to kill the decrepit body. You get the other guy, the fat guy with the white hair. He's the one at the other casino in New Vegas. So pretty sure he's frozen in there too. So it's like there are different things. The only thing is because this takes place so far in the future from the other games that I don't know if they can connect any of the other, like especially from the first Fallout and the second,
I don't
especially
think you need to.
no, it does. It
No,
doesn't need it though. You're right.
but no,
What
but I
year
mean,
is the first Fallout?
Sorry.
What year is the
It's
first one?
so chronologically, the first game is Fallout 76, which takes place 100 years after the bombs.
Okay,
but see,
so when were the bombs? 1976?
No, to 2077.
So in
so
2077 they were still living in 1950.
The aesthetic was 1950s, but we had all the modernizations.
like the robots and all
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah. So the question then, JD,
Mm-hmm.
what was I gonna say? What was that? You know, the Elvis looking guys that were in New Vegas. What was the name of that group?
I forgot their names, but yeah, I know
The
which ones
But
you're
Elvi.
talking about.
that's what I'm saying. We could see one of those characters where or they continued that following of that, you know what I mean? And then we see someone that actually still has that same aesthetic
Yeah.
look that would be like, you know, where are you from? And, oh, I'm from New
Fallout,
Vegas,
the
Blair.
original Fallout, it's set in the year 2296. So that's even 120 years after Fallout 76.
So on what year is this? The show?
23 something.
So what's the latest date of any Fallout game?
20 Fallout 2 takes place in 2241. Fallout 4
Making him
takes
work.
place. Yeah, Timmy's looking it up right now. I know Fallout 4 takes place in the 2287 is Fallout 4. And this takes place much later.
So Fallout
Sorry,
4 is
Fallout
the
1 was
latest.
2196.
Okay.
So
So
it takes
this is the
place
latest one.
Yeah. So Fallout 4 takes place in 2196, which is 20 years after Fallout 76. Then it's 2197, I think is the second one.
So then wait.
Okay, so this is what I'm seeing online, that the order of the shows of the games is Fallout 2, Tactics, 3, 76, Fallout.
No,
So is it the other way around?
it's the other
Fallout
way around.
76, 3, Tactics, Fallout 2?
Nope. It's actually Tactics is not canon anymore.
Oh, here, yeah, I see it. So Vegas is 2281
Mm-hmm.
and Fallout 4 is 2287. And then this is 23, you said, right?
Yeah. or 2296 or something like that.
So,
Oh
so
yeah,
Fallout 4
2296. It says right here. Then Fallout 4 is 2287. So this is 10 years after Fallout 4.
Yeah.
So New Vegas is 10 years after Fallout 4? Oh no, wait, just about the show.
New Vegas
Yeah.
is 7 years before Fallout 4.
And it's 3 years after Fallout 3.
And Fallout 4 was there any traces from New Vegas in Fallout 4? I
No,
can't
nothing.
remember. Really, not even the
The only reason why is because it takes place at the other end of the country. New Vegas takes place on the West Coast, where 3 takes place on the East Coast.
which means that story in New Vegas could still be a part of it if there's a whole society is still doing that.
I think that's what I'm saying. So after this whole thing happens in season 2, like this could be a bridging point to season 3, where season 3, the whole season will be about them traveling across the country and being in Vegas and seeing the New Vegas storyline will be one whole season that will maybe lead to a spin-off show that's just about the Vegas shit, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's
like,
streaming, but I still
that.
want the New Vegas one. Yeah, but I agree. The New Vegas season
Because
would be
they
amazing.
did say they want that the Fallout franchise for Amazon was supposed to be more than just this one show.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they want to do 4 seasons or something like that.
That makes sense then. Do New Vegas as a branch off because New Vegas is a very popular line, and I mean you can even have fun with this if you have this franchise now. You could actually make Pip Boy or was it Vault Boy? No, I said Pip Boy, Vault Boy cartoons. I mean, if they did this smart and everything, they can really make this an entertaining franchise in general. You know what I mean? So I mean, so far what they've done with the first season of just Fallout itself is just amazing. I can't wait to see what they do as long as they're smart about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Genuinely, like, I can't believe it. I've been telling my brother he's got to watch it, and like, I don't think he's
I
gonna
told him
watch
to.
it.
I told him to. Don't worry. I told your brother the same thing. I was
I'm
like,
like,
dude, it's amazing.
It's legitimately like 3 episodes after the first 3 episodes, you don't want to stop watching it. You like, I wanted
Please
to
don't
quit
tell
my
me.
job and just finish fucking watching the show.
Please don't tell me you told him it's better than Last of Us.
I didn't tell him anything.
Oh, okay, cool.
It
I
is
have a
better
feeling
than
your
Last of
brother.
Us.
Well, I agree, but I haven't actually watched all of Last of Us. But
Neither have I. I couldn't. It's too boring.
yeah, yeah, right. But my point to the whole thing is your brother. You know how much he loves Last of Us. So I'm wondering how he feel about that. Like saying it's better because I didn't watch all of Last of Us, but I know other people have, and people keep saying this is way better. You know what I mean? So. I don't know. Either way, my point is Fallout's amazing. I'm so glad they did it justice. If
Yeah.
even with what I heard, the greatness of Last of Us, seeing video game TV shows and movies finally start to get the appreciation they deserve, like comic books did back in the early days, or you know what I mean. We're finally getting that in the video game world, and hoping that as they make more movies, they look at things like Fallout as an inspiration of understanding how
Yeah.
you make a movie.
If you didn't have the small blemish of Uncharted and Super Mario movie and what now is Knuckles, you probably we would have been in like the best position ever that we've been in for video game products in like the last 5 years. Like, right? Because like those Uncharted and Mario movie are like whatever. They're fine. They're
Yeah.
not offensive. They just exist.
Even Mortal Kombat was half decent.
Yeah, I like
Mortal Kombat has a lot of good ideas. It's just really
Yeah.
poorly executed.
But I'm hoping they get better
correct that.
before.
Yeah.
But either way, at the same time.
But then they had the animated universe movies that are really good, except
Yeah.
the second one. I just don't like the second one.
Well, even with the movie, look at it in this aspect. When you're making something, you also want to make sure that the people that love the stuff, the original content, get it. And Fallout is much easier in my eyes to really make a story that people can get into. Mortal Kombat's a little bit more difficult. It's a tournament with bloody gore. It's hard to make a story out of that. What they did in the movie, I feel like they did a great job. Is it better than Fallout? No, but I'm definitely still giving these guys credits because compared to what we had back in the day, even though I still love the first Mortal Kombat 90s
The first
movie.
Mortal Kombat is better than anything else Mortal Kombat we've ever got. Still, I think.
Yeah, I still love it. It's a story and everything. But I will say, as a movie to make up for that and actually give us the gore they've been waiting for, this is a great job in my eyes. So that we're on the right track in those situations. And Fallout is just an example of like.
But the thing
what
too,
goes
like you
beyond that.
said, they didn't blow their load in the first season. There's so many things that we haven't seen yet that are still coming. Like the final shot is a Deathclaw skull. They haven't shown the Deathclaw yet in this series. And the Deathclaw is a major
part of the game. Yeah.
And so are rad scorpions and stuff like that. So
Well, go ahead.
I wanted to jump in one thing too. I would love, and this
jump
is
in.
one thing. My bad. Go ahead. I'll come
Jump
back.
in
I only
one
have one
thing.
more thing. Okay. Well, anyway, I would love if the Brotherhood robots soldiers, if they would just do the tag thing on one of their screens one day from the game where they aim and then it actually centers and puts out points. You
Oh,
could
you
use
want to do
those.
the VATS?
I want to do the VATS thing. Imagine they use that in those actual robots as a system of
Well,
fighting.
in the game, the VATS is not just in the power armor. The Pip-Boy has the VATS.
Oh yeah, good point. That's true. Yeah. So you can even have that, I guess, in that situation
Yeah.
if you wanted to. But either way, I just wanted to throw that out there.
You know what else you can have? A good night, because that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Let us know what you thought about the show in the comments, and do.
Do.
Do.